Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I'm proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So this is the new video that was released on the YouTube page called The Detail. And so The Detail, I'm going to show you in here how Janet Jackson, as a form of an entertainer, she's known as a bubblegum entertainer, okay? And so I'm going to explain to you more about what bubblegum is, and then I'm going to just relate it to you that The Detail, as far as being a reporter, the Detail page is like bubblegum reporting, okay? So when I get into and explain more about bubblegum, remember that I told you that The Detail is, his page is bubblegum reporting. They don't do serious reporting on this page. And so now I just take off that Detail logo and it's like he doesn't own this video. And so I don't have to worry about being copyright striked from The Detail, because this isn't his copyrighted material and stuff, right? So here, I'm going to show you a couple things here. Let's go ahead and get into this.
I think the most difficult thing was my father managed me ever since I was 7 years old, ever since I started in this business. And to break away from that was the hardest thing to do.
Okay, so Joe Jackson was managing her, okay? So what I'm going to show you here, now see, I don't do really good editing. This is the one thing, it's like, okay, an editor, just because somebody does good editing and stuff like that, doesn't mean that they're not a bubblegum, they're not doing bubblegum reporting. Like I would say, yeah, my freaking editing skills, I don't do it, and I got to hurry up and do these things. The only reason I can make videos like this because I go fast. And then I lose quality for that, but I don't lose the quality of my content. I still got really good content. So, okay, right here, I'm going to read it, and see, I don't like moving the camera along with it too. So it says, when Jackson was 16, her father manager, Joseph Jackson, arranged a contract for her with A&M Records, okay? Now, so I don't think that she ever had a contract with Motown. It's one of the, I don't see it here saying that she was signed to Motown. And it's like one of those things like with the Michael Jackson and the Diana Ross situation. Okay, if Janet Jackson, because now you gotta remember, Janet Jackson became a big star. She's a big star, right? But Diana Ross didn't take Janet under her wing and help guide her through her contract being a young Motown artist. None of that happened. Everything, it's the relationship with Michael and Diana, it's relationship with Michael and Diana. It's not that Diana has a relationship with the Jackson family. It's not like that. And it really shows, because Diana didn't do anything for Janet. You know, there's no history of Janet Jackson being a Motown artist. I don't think there's anything there. And there's no history of Diana guiding Janet. Why wouldn't she, if she was like interested in like Michael because he was so talented, then why didn't she see the talent in Janet? And Janet's a girl, you would think that she would really want to be like helping Janet too. But none of that stuff happened. It's because it's the Michael and Diana thing that's going on. Okay, so her debut album, Janet Jackson, was released in 1992. So now I'm going to click on this here, because I want you to see that this, we're going to go down here to, okay, so this is a track listings. Okay, track listings, right? So here's all the songs, right? On the top there, they don't have nothing listed and stuff, but we're going to assume that things are the same. So you go over here to songwriters. So it's writers and producers, okay? So you see here there'll be because I think Marlon, maybe it's not on this album, but so there's no Janet Jackson, okay? She's not writing her songs, okay? She's not writing her songs, and she's not producing her songs. Because I think Marlon, it must be on the next album, because Marlon's name appears on one of her first albums, okay? But so Janet Jackson's not writing or producing any of the songs on her first album, okay? And she's being managed by Joe Jackson. So then we'll go here. Okay, so then, so that was her first album. And then it peaked at number 2, that doesn't matter. Publication, so then the album appeared, that doesn't matter. In 83, Jackson herself, female. Okay, so next down here, Dream Street. We'll get down to the... right there, Dream Street. Jackson's second album, Dream Street. Okay, so Jackson's second album, Dream Street, go down here, track listings. Okay, track listings. We'll go over here to songwriters. See, now there Marlon Jackson's name appears. I knew his name appeared somewhere on the first one. Okay, so you got Marlon Jackson, no Janet Jackson. There on that one there too, there's a Marlon there. Marlon there and a Marlon there is a writer. So Marlon does a little bit of songwriting, right? And producing. Marlon Jackson and Marlon Jackson down there. Okay? No Janet Jackson gets any credit for writing or producing any of her songs on her first 2 albums. Okay, Janet's name's not listed as any form of a writer or producer on her first 2 albums, which if she could do any of that stuff, if she could sing or, if she could write a song or produce a song, it would have appeared somewhere. She would have had some opportunity. So now let's see how it says Dream Street. Right here it says, both albums consisted primarily of bubblegum pop music. Okay, this is so bubblegum. This is what I'm saying. What the detail is bubblegum. And so a piece of bubblegum. Just think about what happens. Bubblegum. Okay, it's a piece of candy that's artificially flavored. Okay, and you chew on it, and it's fun for a little bit with the artificial flavor, and then when you're done with it, you just throw it away. Once the flavor is gone, then you're done with it. It's a temporary thing. It's for like kids and shit, right? So this is what they say. Bubblegum. This is the definition of what bubblegum, when they're talking about bubblegum pop music. Bubblegum is pop music in a catchy and upbeat style that is considered disposable. It's considered disposable. Now, would anybody ever relate to Michael Jackson's talent as being disposable? Never. That's what I'm saying. When you people think that they're all the same and stuff, it's like they're nowhere near the same. She does not sing and dance like Michael Jackson. She replicates him like a Michael Jackson impersonator, and since she's in the family and she's cute and Michael's cute, so they kind of have an appearance, and since everybody saw them together all the time, then they just they link all the things together. But in the reality, let's talk about just the talent. She doesn't have Michael's talent and whatsoever. None of the Jacksons do. So it's considered disposable, contrived, or marketed for children and adolescents. Okay? That's what bubblegum pop music is. That's what the detail. His page is a YouTube. He's a YouTube page that produces bubblegum reporting on Michael Jackson and his family. That's what he does. He's a bubblegum reporter. He doesn't do real reporting. And since it's got good flavor though, and it looks pretty, it's a nice pretty color with a watermelon bubblegum. It's nice pink color, and it tastes like watermelon. Oh, this is fun. Okay, so that's why all the stupid kids, the adolescents who don't know any better, they don't know what any real, they just want to be entertained, in the moment. Oh, this feels good. Make me feel good. And I'm not doing that shit. I do hardcore reporting. Hardcore reporting is not here. I'm not here trying to make you feel good or make you feel smart or any of that shit. I'm doing hardcore serious reporting. That's why people don't like what I do. So it says the term also refers to a pop subgenre. I don't need to read more of that one. Okay, so that's what it is. Disposable, contrived, or marketed for children and adolescents. Okay, so Janet Jackson's first 2 albums are labeled as bubblegum pop. And she doesn't do any writing. She does no songwriting. And no, she has no producer credits on her first 2 albums. Then you come to here, 1986 through 1988, Control. Now, this one, it says here, after her second album, Jackson terminated business affairs with her family, commenting, "I just want to get out of the house, get out from under my father, which was one of the most difficult things I had to do." Okay, now, the reality is, and it says here, attempting a third album, so this is the third album that she comes out with. Jackson teamed with producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, okay? Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Now watch, I'm going to go right here to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I'm going to read to you what it says here. Okay. Jimmy Jam, Harrison, and Terry Stephen Lewis are an American R&B pop songwriting and record producing team. They have enjoyed great success since the 1980s with various artists, most notable Janet Jackson. They have written 31 top 10 hits. Okay, now, so this is like, that's what he looks like, okay? Now, what's going to sell bubblegum type of category when you're making pop music? What's going to sell? This guy? Is this guy going to attract the children and make them want to dance and he's so pretty? And are they going to put posters of this guy up on his wall? Or are they going to put a picture up on their wall and buy the record of Janet Jackson? Janet Jackson, the younger sister of Michael Jackson. Okay, and what year does this take place in? When these guys are trying to make music, right? So Janet releases Control that's produced by those two guys in 86 to 88. So right after Michael Jackson produces the Thriller album, which becomes the largest selling album of all time, then these guys go to work with Janet. Okay, because they're a real songwriting team. They know how to make pop songs. And when you're making pop songs, they're not concerned about Janet Jackson having the best voice. They're not concerned about Janet Jackson dancing like Fred Astaire, like how Michael, being a serious dancer, they just want her to be able to dance. If she can dance and move and stuff, well, that's all that they need, because they're making music for kids that don't know the difference and shit. And it doesn't have to be the high quality, because this is pop music. And these guys know that their whole plan of what they're trying to do is sell records to kids. That's what they're trying to do. And these guys know how to write songs, okay? But they're also smart enough to know that they're not pop stars, okay? Being a pop star is what's going to sell the thing. And if they get only, if they ended up with like instead of getting 100% of an album that they produced and they're the own stars, but if that album only sells 100,000 copies, okay, well, if you take 50% of an album with Janet Jackson that sells 10 million copies, okay, do you understand the difference? What would you rather have, 100% of 100,000 copies or 50% of 10 million copies? This is how it works. So these guys then, they work with Janet and they make the first album, Control. So now I'm going to show you here. Let's find where it says the Control album there. There it is, Control. Okay, so I click on that. Now we're going to go down to the songwriting credits and everything down here. Let's get, okay, track listings. So now, track listings, okay? So, writers, Harris and Lewis, so that's them. That's the writing team, and that does everything. But down here, it has a Jackson right down there, and I'll assume that that's Janet, because Janet probably on that one, when Janet's singing, she's got to add her little bit of flavor, okay? So she does some hey, hey, hoo-hoos. Okay, well, that's technically she wrote that. Okay, so she can get a songwriting credit for that, okay? But what happens here is, when you look at the producer, okay, the producers, okay, Jackson's all over the producer thing. She's a producer, okay? So what that shows you is that the deal that Janet made with the guys, okay, now first of all, Janet didn't leave Joseph. She wouldn't have done that. But the Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis guys, those guys would not have worked with Joseph. They're like, we'll give you money, Janet, but we're not giving anything to Joseph. We don't need him. We don't need him as a part of what we're doing. We're only looking for you, Janet. And then, so because of that, they made a deal with Janet, and then Janet was able to strong arm them and also get producer credits on a lot of these songs. That gets more money for her. And the guys are willing to give up a little bit of their money and give it to her because, like I said, she's going to sell 10 million records. And it's her name, the Jackson name. They all know that. It's really obvious. And you can see that this is the deal that what happened. Janet Jackson was never a producer credit on any of her prior albums. But then on this album, the first album of which she starts working with these serious songwriters who are the writer-producers. You see their name on everything. Their names are on the producer credits, Lewis and Jam, and then the Harris is the same thing. That's Harris's Jimmy Jam, and so the Harris and Lewis, it's the same thing. That's the guys, the same guys. And then, but Jackson gets on there because that's it. She worked a deal, and part of the deal was that she had to leave Joe behind. She didn't like leave Joe, you know, on her own because she was wanting to step away and be on her own. Hell no. These dudes told her he's not involved in this. We want you. We want you, Janet. And these guys write songs. They write hit songs. So if Janet was not willing to agree to their terms, bye, Janet. We'll go get somebody else then. But they know that Janet Jackson has the name to Michael Jackson. Janet Jackson has been growing up in the whole Jackson family. She was on Good Times. They know what they can sell to kids, and they know Janet's got the looks. She moves good enough. She doesn't have to be a real singer because we're only making pop songs and stuff here. That's what's really going on. So they know all that stuff, and that's why they work with her. That's why Janet becomes the big star, is because those guys made her a star. She's not a star because she was a good singer. She's not a star because she was a good dancer. She's a star because she has the name Jackson and she looks like Michael. That's why she's a star. She's cute. They can make her, and those guys know that they can turn her into a star. That's what it's all about. It's fake. It's all fake. It's totally fake and shit. So, let me play you a little bit more of this video here. We're going to get to the part.
You're you, not them, and what everybody else expects. But when you're working, don't you deep inside compare yourself to them?
No, I
Not at all?
No, I just try to do the best that I can. It's hard sometimes. It's like, hey, this is me, Janet, you know. Oh, you're Michael Jackson's sister. I said, no, Michael Jackson's my brother.
You look like your brother Michael a little bit.
But see, everyone says that.
Look like Michael Jackson.
I hate when this doesn't zoom in, when it doesn't focus properly and stuff. Oh, you look like Michael Jackson. So now this is one of the things what I'm showing you here is that, okay, well, she was raised in the same house as Michael, you know, and when they're kids and stuff and they're cute little kids, you start seeing them looking the same there, and then it's like, it's because she's cute. It's really the whole thing of why, because their eyes are kind of similar and she's cute, and Michael's the cute one. And they kind of look like they got the same eyes. And then they're the Jacksons. They're the Jacksons. And she's younger. There's no doubt that she's a Jackson. So, and it also makes you think more that Michael must be a Jackson, because now he's like way down there. There's all these Jackson brothers and sisters. Then you got Michael, and now there's more kids too after Michael. There's a couple more Jacksons and stuff. And then she comes out, and she's cute, and so everybody just associates her with there's who's out there trying to say, hell no, she ain't got no talent? Like, who's out there saying that? Do you think she was any of these shows that she went on? Do you think any one of these people would have the nerve to say, yeah, it's funny that people always say you look like Michael because you can't sing and you can't dance? Would anybody have the nerve to say that to her? Hell no. Hell no. That was never going to happen. So every show she goes on, first of all, they don't want to talk about her really. You know, they really want to talk, even when she's a big star, they're still wanting to talk about Michael. So they're sure as hell not going to say, yeah, it's funny everybody compares you to Michael because you really can't sing and you really don't dance that good either. Right? That was never going to happen.
So incredible on stage. Michael has the same quality.
You are Michael Jackson's youngest sister, but you and Mike look like twins on stage.
Okay, so you look like twins, okay? This is what everybody said and stuff, right? This is what they're going to say. It's funny how they're doing it. They're trying to sell a product. It's bubblegum. Like I said, these reporters, this is bubblegum journalism. Same thing. They're not doing investigative reporting. They're not digging into anything. See how all of their things are the same? Oh, well, you look the same because you're a Jackson. Okay, well, that's why the Terry Jam and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, that's why they knew that they could sell her, because this is how people thought about her. So it's like, well, shoot, if we write quality songs for her, they're going to sell millions. That's why she became a big star, because she got really good songwriter, real serious music producers. Like those guys, they make the music and they write the lyrics, okay? But they're not up there being the hot little pop star shaking their ass. They needed somebody to do that for them. And when they're looking, at that point, they're just looking for, who can we get to sell records? And Janet Jackson. And obviously, yeah, you get Janet Jackson. They're not getting her because she can sing and dance. They're getting her because her name is Janet Jackson, and Michael Jackson just became the biggest star in the world. That's what it's all about. So when people watch, I say, oh, Janet's talented. Dude, look at her first 2 albums. They sucked. They were garbage. They're bubblegum pop. The only reason she became a real star is because those Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis turned her into a star. It's not like Michael. Michael was going to go be a star. He had the talent. It was going to be hard to stop Michael. But her, shit, she didn't have that. She's not writing her own songs. She isn't the greatest singer. She's not the greatest dancer. She's bubblegum. And so, now let me show you this crazy thing, though, that I found. Now, this is a funny thing that's super ironic because I've had so many people tell me that Diana doesn't look like Michael, okay? And I'm like, shoot. And it's like, so, like, I argue that Janet doesn't look like Michael, but I totally understand that there's a similarity there. I understand why people think they look so much alike. But now that I see that Michael's not part of the Jackson family, I can clearly see that Janet has the looks, the resemblance of the Jacksons, okay? So, I mean, she's thicker, like it's one of these things, like, look at her butt. It's like, look at her butt, look at Michael's butt, and look at Diana Ross's butt. And you'll actually see the frame, Michael Jackson's frame, his body is really real thin. And when you look at Diana, so that's what I'm saying, people are just looking at the face. All you see is like the eyes, and you see the name Jackson, okay? So, but the eyes are Diana Ross's eyes, you know? And then there's the thing about, like, the title of this thing, all black people look the same, okay? There's the thing about, but it's funny though, the really funny thing about it though is which I think is really funny, is that a lot of black people are telling me that Michael looks just like the Jacksons, okay? The black people are telling me that Michael looks just like the Jacksons. So when we get into that thing about all people looking alike, but I'm white, okay? So we're in a weird thing about how this all occurred. And that's why I'm saying it's like, well, because Michael's raised in the Jacksons and you're seeing a product. That's what you're seeing and stuff, right? But the reality is that Michael looks like Diana Ross. And the reality is that Michael and Diana Ross have an incredible relationship together, Michael and Diana. So when you pull up Michael Jackson's name, you're probably going to come across some Diana Ross photos. Or if you pull up Diana Ross photos, you're probably going to be coming across some Michael Jackson photos. But one of the things I wasn't sure that I didn't know about is that if you pull up Janet Jackson's name, you'll also come across photos of Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. Stuff like that will come up. And that's how this incident right here occurred. And so it says, hair company confuses Diana Ross for Janet Jackson. Now, this is a weird one and stuff that happened but it so relates to the story of what I'm saying. So there's a hair company. They were looking for a picture of Janet Jackson. And then what they did is they published a picture of Diana Ross and said, that's Janet Jackson. And it's Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell's the company, right? So here, I'm going to go, it says hair company Paul Mitchell. Now, Paul Mitchell's huge, right? And now, Paul Mitchell hair company, they're all about image. So you would think people that work for that company would understand about, like, hair texture and, like, facial structure, the bone structure, all of that stuff, right? And so it says, hair company Paul Mitchell made a major mistake over the weekend when they posted what was meant to be a celebratory image of their Instagram page. The company shared an image of singer Diana Ross, but misidentified her as Janet Jackson. And so what's happening here is the thing. It's that people have associated Michael Jackson with looking like Janet Jackson. So when the people went to look for a picture of Janet Jackson, when the Diana Ross came up, they thought it looked the same. Because in reality, Diana Ross looks like Michael Jackson. And so these people were confused because when they saw a picture of Diana Ross, they thought it was Janet Jackson. And so what I'm saying is, like, this is like, it's wrapped up in my story. The truth is that Michael looks so much like Diana Ross. Okay, but everybody thinks Michael looks like Janet Jackson. So when the mistake happened, what they really got was that they thought that looked like Michael Jackson. That's probably why they put that picture, because they thought that that picture had more of an essence of Michael Jackson in it, and everybody knows that Janet is supposed to look like Michael, so they got a picture, they put a picture up of what was being a young Diana Ross, but they were claiming that it was Janet Jackson. But what confused them was they probably thought, oh, look, here's a picture of Janet Jackson, she looks a lot like Michael. That's probably what happened. Okay, and this is how this actually happened. And the reason why it happened is because of the story I'm telling you. That Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's mother, that they look so much alike that somebody confused Janet Jackson for Diana Ross. This happened. And not only did it happened from a company that's supposed to be all focused on image. They should be able to identify the subtleties, and the intricacies of somebody's image and stuff. And like what I'm saying, the way I think this is I think that they saw Michael Jackson in that image. They thought it was Jackson because they probably went to a page listing of Janet Jackson photos, and this picture came up. So they just assumed it was Janet Jackson. But when they saw the picture, what they probably thought was, oh, look at how much she looks like Michael in that picture. But it was Diana Ross. This actually happened. And that's what I'm saying. Stuff like this happens all the time. And so this was the actual post of what they said. It says, Paul Mitchell's whatever. It says, keeping your hair hydrated never goes out of style. Hashtag vintage. Hashtag Janet Jackson. But it was Diana Ross. See, they put hashtag Janet Jackson, but it was the picture of Diana Ross. Now look at how much like that image that she looks like Michael. That's what they saw. And like, see like her butt. That's what I say. When you see Michael's butt and see her arms and her shoulders here, it looks so much like Michael, and I bet the confusion of what happened there was that people saw that picture thinking it was Janet Jackson, and they thought, look at how much she looks like Michael. But what it was Diana Ross. Because Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's real mother, and they look so much alike. So I'm going to go down to this one comment here, because I have people tell me all the time about... they'll say that people will tell me, oh, Michael looks just like Janet Jackson. And then they'll tell me, oh, Diana Ross doesn't even look anything like Michael, right? But so here's a comment, because this is the same kind of comments of what I get. But now this comment was a comment relating to how they made that mistake about Diana Ross and Janet Jackson. So this comment says, but Janet Jackson and Diana Ross look nothing alike. Oh man, it's like it's totally the same thing of what I'm dealing with, and the same kind of words of what people get. They don't understand what just happened there, and it's like, this is about my story. It's the same thing, and look at how it happens in a different way. And now down here it says, no one ever mistakes Barbra Streisand for Madonna. It's like, well, yeah, that's because Barbra Streisand, it's not like she was like known for working with Madonna, or like, it's not like the Janet Jackson and the Michael Jackson thing. That's why it happened. That's the difference of what happened. And like I said, the reason that they thought they looked together is because people mistakenly think that Michael and Janet look alike. But when they went to look for a photo of what they thought was Janet trying to look like Michael, they put up a picture of Diana Ross, because they thought that looked like, they thought it was Janet looking like Michael. But who was it really? It was really Diana Ross. Just like I keep saying, the whole thing, Michael looks like his real mother, Diana Ross, and he looks like his real father, Smokey Robinson. He's got the talent of his real parents, which none of the Jacksons have. They don't have the talent. That's why Janet, after her first 2 albums, she's considered to be a bubblegum pop artist. She's disposable. It's made for children. And then the only reason she becomes a big star is because 2 producers start working with her at the time of which Michael is known as the biggest star in the world and the largest selling record of all time, the greatest star out there and stuff. That's the only reason why that she became a star, is because some people wanted to make money, and they know how to sell records to children, kids who don't know any better. It's like, it's all right here. It's constantly right here. Once you actually do real investigation, you'll see how much of my story is bundled up in all of these other things. There's so many other things that occur out there that happen, and it's my story that answers and clarifies all of this stuff.